Hello indie game fans! Part 2 of the 50 upcoming new indie games for 2020 contains some of my most anticipated games, but before putting a game that you think I might have missed in the comments below, do check out the previous videos first. Oh, and before anyone starts screaming at me, I don't consider Ori and the Will of the Wisps to be indie, since they are a first-party Microsoft studio, but a beautiful title nonetheless that I'm looking forward to. But we shall start with One Step from Eden, a very fast-paced and intense deck builder that uses grid-based real-time combat, which plays like Mega Man Battle Network, a beloved series of RPGs on the GBA and the original DS, whose latest title was in 2009, so more than a decade ago. Thankfully, fans of the series have started to make their own takes on that, and this game, in my opinion, is the cream of the crop. Rather than having RPG elements and a narrative story, this chooses roguelike design instead, with again Slay the Spire and FTL inspired node-based map layouts, with, I presume, enemies, mini-bosses and random events. You have to manage your deck, cooldowns, targeting enemies and avoiding their attacks, and this looks very fast with quite the variety, and as a fan of its inspiration, I'm down for this. The puzzle adventure game Fox, or Dog Dog, is an adorable puzzle game where you and a friend will bark, bite and bounce your way through this vibrant and colourful world. This is playable both in co-op and in single player, but looks best with a friend. If you love old school first person shooters, definitely keep an eye on PRODEUS, a very classically designed one of these, but with some nice modern tweaks as well. It is often said that the best retro-inspired games are made to look like what you remember those classic games to be, rather than actually looking like what they did, and PRODEUS certainly has this in spades. There's a charm to its look, which I think can be considered as high-bit pixel art, but it's bloody, gory and action-packed, even down to the extent of having to find keycards, so a real cheeky wink and a nod to Doom. Alright, time for something a little more calming with Project Growth, a first-person puzzle platformer where you and your robot sidekick must find your way through a beautiful world and search for a cure for the great rot. On top of being able to create platforms, you play as an alchemist, so gathering ingredients and brewing potions features here as well. curious to see what they do with the world and story, and hope the puzzles are good. The absolutely beautiful RAJI, an ancient epic, has been on my radar for quite a while due to its looks first, but the setting is interesting as well since this is in ancient India. Play as a young girl chosen by the gods to fight against a demonic invasion and to save her brother in the process. While it looks like an action-adventure game, there are platforming and parkour sections, reminding me of the Prince of Persia series, with combat that looks pretty intense as well, since you can wield a staff that can be infused with powers such as lightning. Absolutely stunning game with some great lighting effects, and it's just wonderful to see games from an Asian developer covering their own culture and mythology. RECOMPILE self-describes as a Metroidvania-inspired hacking adventure where you play as a semi-sapient program trying to escape deletion from the mainframe. Of course, being in 3D, some people might not consider it to be a Metroidvania at all, but there are traversal ability unlocks that allow you to access new areas, so I suppose that counts in my book. Lovely glitchy aesthetic, and this has third-person shooter combat, puzzles, and the ability to hack environmental features like locked doors and logic gates. Many games have tried to introduce simple programming and hacking mechanics to moderate success, so hopefully this will be the one to push it through to a larger audience. Always interested in the genre, so a title which I'm looking forward to.
The rules of the rock.
As decreed by Lord Boulder, Esquire.
Rule 1.
Rock of Ages has been an odd and quirky series since developer Ace Team, behind titles such as Xenoclash and Soul Seraph, managed to merge historical characters with that sort of classic medieval painting look with an absurd siege game that sees you controlling a boulder, rolling down the path, and gaining momentum in order to smash through the castle fortifications. The quirkiness, humour, and art styles are the highlights, but the semi-tower defense elements, such as placing traps and troops, and to see these interact with the boulder is pretty neat. This time in the 3rd edition, the developer has taken a page out of Super Mario Maker's book, allowing you to build your own courses as well, so the potential certainly is there.
Rock of Ages 3, coming early.
Rogue Heroes Ruins of TASOS is a pixel art action-adventure RPG that supports up to 4-player co-op, and as someone who enjoys all of those things, has me very excited. On top of the procedurally generated dungeons and the good-looking combat, there's even a town-building aspect, fishing, farming, and even just swimming and exploration, with permanent upgrades for your characters in between runs. It does seem to be a little bit contradictory in terms of the design, due to the combination of the life sim style game with an intense action title, but this seems tailor-made to hook me in. Roki is a serene exploration adventure game inspired by Scandinavian folklore with elements of a fairy tale where you play as a young girl on a journey to save her family. A lot of ice and snow in this, but as with games like Yaga utilizing Slavic folklore, I certainly hope to learn more of Nordic myths in this. The sequel to the best modern Sonic game before Sonic Mania came along, Freedom Planet 2 updates the visuals and character proportions from the very chibi and squished versions to more elongated and normal looking characters. Join our heroes as they face an ancient terror in the form of a water dragon emerging from the ocean, which then carries with it the threat of imminent war. The original game was excellent, both in terms of the gotta go fast platforming, combat and story, with Lilac the Dragon Girl even featuring in other indie crossover games, so for an excellent action platformer, look out for this one. When I came to know of Signs of the Sojourner, I was immediately intrigued by the gameplay system since this is a narrative card game about relationships and communication, with quite the pleasant art style and a wide range of characters which looks like quite an interesting world to explore. It looks like you need to match symbols in order for the conversation to be successful, almost like playing dominoes, but there are some other symbols as well, which I'm curious about. From one avian to the next, the skateboarding game mantle could possibly be passed to Skatebird, a super adorable skateboarding game starring cute little birds.
After fishing in one place for
All your standard tricks are there, but these birds can also do a little flap, which I think might give them just a little bit more airtime. The aesthetics are wonderful as well, since it takes place on a table within a house, so household items like magazines, pencils and staplers will be in the play area as well. It also has the mantra, a game about trying your best, so certainly seems very pleasant.
the amazing magpie from the plains of North America.
Come on to me, show us the way. I'm caught between the wind and parts of the unknown.
When SABLE was first revealed at E3 2018, it certainly wowed me with the art style, and is an exploration adventure game that has you traversing through the deserts on an alien planet, exploring ancient ruins, and perhaps rediscovering yourself.
Feels like it is in time.
As will be tradition in these games, I expect there to be some sort of environmental puzzles, but I'm curious as to how this will play, especially with the structure in terms of how linear it will be. Regardless, it sure looks beautiful and should be a great world to get lost in. The sequel to one of the most highly regarded indie games of all time in Spelunky looks to continue that tradition and mirrors creator Derek Yu's own journey about becoming a father, where you play as the daughter of the original Spelunky guy character. Follow in your father's footsteps, where you explore mysterious caves and jungles on the moon. Fluid dynamics are modeled in this, which could lead to some exciting new scenarios, but the emergent stories about Spelunky are what keeps me interested in the title, despite being total rubbish at it. Spiritfarer is a cozy management sim where you play as ferry master to the deceased, and is equal parts heartwarming and heartbreaking. Essentially playing as Charon from Greek mythology, guide and care for the company of spirits on their final journey before releasing them into the afterlife. The management elements include farming, mining, fishing, cooking and upgrading your ferry, but the beautiful hand-drawn art, swelling music and adorable character designs are sure to tug at your heartstrings. Just a quick note, if you are new here and enjoyed the video so far, be sure to subscribe and check out the Discord channel while you are at it. Here's to more indie gaming coverage, so back to the video. A classically designed pixel art roguelike RPG, Stone Shard is one of the titles that I'm very excited for in 2020, with a UI that looks very much like classic Diablo, but with the roguelike elements of course. Looks good and can't wait to play. After a decent year in farming and life sim games in 2019, Summer in Mara looks to continue that trend into 2020 since you play as a young girl living in a tropical archipelago, farming, crafting, and exploring this beautiful world. On top of the daily routine chores that you need to do, there are exploration elements where you travel to new islands and uncover their secrets, so perhaps a little bit like last year's Stranded Sails, but with its share of unique elements as well. I always have a soft spot for these sorts of games due to how calming and relaxing these can be, so I'm keeping a close eye on this one.
Marinera que guardes la mar, marinera recorda'm la llar, qui aferma el meu rumb, bufen els vents de marà.
The weirdness is close now, twisting the land and all its life. King Arthur is dead, and Avalon no longer belongs to us.
We have to find a way to strengthen the Minier and buy more time. I offer you the last relic of our homeland.
Tainted Grail, somehow, was a title that I missed both for my upcoming turn-based and RPG games videos, so I'm correcting that right here. This is a deck-building RPG taking place in Avalon of King Arthur's myth, where the king is dead and the Knights of the Round Table are in disarray. An ancient force known as the Weirdness is spreading and corrupting the land as you lead a band of unlikely heroes to find the Holy Grail to save the world, which, of course, should be tainted as the title proposes. Such a beautiful looking game in the overworld with turn-based card combat that varies from character to character and looks like a real good RPG experience. NYKRA is an existential, narrative-driven sci-fi adventure platformer where you arrive with the intent of seeking out the Heptaverse but find alien planets and creatures filled with life and stories of their own to tell. As you platform around and read the alien literature, you uncover the truth behind a dark virus that people in the universe are afraid of, but these seem to spark more questions than answers. For contemplative, story-driven experience with beautiful pixel art, this is one to check out.
Ashley reporting successful jump procedure.
Exor Studios made one of my favorite tower defense games in X-Morph Defense, and the Rift Breaker is their next project, where you play as a scientist commando hybrid sent to establish a base on an alien planet. There are elements of both They Are Billions and Factorial in this, as you build a base and set up mining operations, but have to fend off alien critters as well. This combination of gameplay loops are one which I am interested in, with beautiful graphics as well, but I'm wondering about the gameplay structure, whether it be a full campaign, skirmish scenarios, or procedurally generated like They Are Billions. The Escapist from Team 17 has been quite the runaway success as a prison simulator, and the Survivalist looks to continue that trend, only this time you have to survive in the wilderness. Beautiful pixel art, and you can even train a troop of monkeys to do your bidding, as well as to work together with others to live, and looks to challenge Don't Starve for the top spot in the sub-genre. The third survival game in a row is the beautiful Tribes of Midgard, with its combination of the cel-shaded look and up to 10-player cooperative gameplay, as you band together to fight off the oncoming invasions of giants during Ragnarok. The worlds are procedurally generated, with your action RPG hooks of loot and progression, but this is really a great looking game which I have to check out given the genre that it is in. Another title which caught the attention of many at E3 was UNEXPLORED 2, The Wayfarer's Legacy, a roguelite action game which is the sequel to a title with quite the classic narrative setup and a very interesting procedural generation system. This game is absolutely beautiful, which certainly helps since you are leaving behind the dank Dungeons of Doom from the first game and instead go out into the world seeking to destroy the staff of Yendor. One thing which the developers note is that they are proud of how terrain height and depth play a role in this, which will be critical through valleys, mountains, jungles, and the like. Open worldish roguelites seems like quite the daunting challenge, so hopefully this team will get it right. VIGIL The Longest Night is a gothic action platformer where eldritch horrors roam the world, where you play as the last member of the Vigil, sworn to protect the world from evil. The developers cite Salt and Sanctuary, as well as Castlevania as inspirations, though one can also see Bloodborne in this, and it is from a Taiwanese developer who are incorporating elements from their culture as well. There's something about the art style though which is neat, but seems as if the bloom or something got turned all the way up, but another one in the dark devotion vein which should be pretty good. Much like last year's video, I've saved my most anticipated game for last, and this year it is Star Renegades, which I believe I've been looking forward to for 2 to 3 years now, and hopefully 2020 will be the year. play as a band of rebels spanning multiple generations on their mission to topple galactic empires. The pixel art has to be the highlight, but the combination of the Mode 7-like visuals, reactive time battle turn-based combat system, procedural generation, awesome overworld, and variety of characters has got me really excited. This is from developer Massive Damage, who made Halcyon 6 as well, which is a title that I greatly enjoyed, so eagerly awaiting the release, taking the #1 spot. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, share and subscribe. Check out the recommended playlist or the best pick for you, and I will see you after the jump.